what we have going on is we are going to talk about comparing and ordering integers. Alright? Comparing and ordering integers is both rewarding and satisfying. It can be fun and enjoyable. Okay? So today you will find yourself fully enthralled by the information I give you. You will be sitting on the edge of your seat most of the time thinking, oh my goodness. Now, there's a couple of things that we want to point out to you. Okay? When you are ordering integers, okay, or any other number, you have to think in terms of a new vocabulary. Because some of us are stuck in this elementary level vocabulary, and it catches us every time. Alright? Now, when we do this, okay. Cameron and Dom, yeah. Yep, I will. Bye. Cameron and Dominic, you're going to go to Miss Long's room right now. Okay, now, anyways, a couple of things you have to think about. Vocabulary, alright? When we talk about comparing and ordering any numbers, we have to stop using the words like bigger number. It is the bigger number. Because if somebody says, hey, we need a bigger number, you might end up with something like this. Okay? And this is what the kids asked for, and this is what they ended up with. And it was, you can see it, it broke down, they couldn't use it, and it was too much for them. And then they said, no, Mr. Trill, we want a number that's larger. So I gave them this. And then things really got hairy, Jared. And then they said, no, not bigger, not larger, harder numbers. So, of course, we then gave them this little gem. Okay? And they said, no, not harder numbers. Numbers that have a greater value. Okay? Or, alright, they want to make them not bigger, but increase their value. So vocabulary has a lot to do with this. Okay? Now, you might think to yourself, that doesn't matter. But when we start comparing integers, it will matter. Because what happens is, you end up with this type of thinking. Okay, now we know that, you can compare numbers, and we know that when you go right on the number line, numbers increase in value, right? Now, when they increase in value, that means we know that they're getting greater. This little symbol right here, it points right. That's where we got the greater than symbol. It took the end of the number line, we put it there. The less than symbol points to the left. Numbers get less than when they go in that direction. That's where those symbols came from. Okay? So you have to keep that in mind. The other thing you have to keep in mind is you might have somebody say to you, okay, which is it, greater than, less than, or equal to? Which symbol goes in the circle? So they might give you something like this. Okay? 5 compared to, and that's a positive 5 because we assume it's positive, there's no symbol, compared to the absolute value of negative 9. And unless you understand that going to the right means greater and going to the left means you're getting a lower value, you can get confused on things, okay? Now the other thing is, this symbol right here, you have absolute value, don't you? Okay? So people would look at this and they'd say, okay, positive 5, okay? And they might think, okay, this is good. Positive 5 is greater than negative 9. But that's not true, is it? Because the absolute value of negative 9 is actually positive 9. Okay, so things can get kind of crazy when you start comparing these. Alright? And so you have to get your brain thinking in terms of, okay, I have a new system here. The other thing is this, okay? If we compare like positive 1 and positive 5, and somebody were to say to the kids, okay kids, here we go, which is greater? Positive 5 or 1? Most kids are going to be able to say, oh yeah, 5 is greater than 1. Because you've been trained to think, yeah, as I go this way, numbers get greater. However, if you get something like this, negative 3 compared to, let me get this symbol out of here, negative 8. Sometimes kids will automatically think, oh yeah, 8's greater, so negative 3 is less than 8. But really, negative 3 comes up on the number line as you travel to the left. It comes up on the number line before you get to 8. So that continuation towards negative 8 to the left means that negative 8 is actually less than that. So that it would be negative 3 is greater than negative 8. So you've got to kind of like change your mind around. Now, if you're looking at that and you're thinking, okay, I kind of get it, or that's confusing, or I don't get it, this is why we don't teach you how to add, subtract, multiply, or divide integers. We used to do it, and then the Common Core eliminated that because kids were not developmentally ready to add, subtract, multiply, or divide positive and negative numbers in 6th grade. Okay, in fact, we used to get tears and crying and bad failing grades. Kids, you weren't ready to understand it. So then they moved all of that into 7th grade and said, just focus on teaching the number line and what these numbers mean. Okay? And then, over the summer, you guys, you grow up, you go through puberty and all that nonsense, and your hormones change, and your brain actually rewires itself in different directions. Believe it or not. Oh, for crying out loud, y'all do it. So anyways, you grow up and your brain changes. Alright? So that's why we don't add or subtract or multiply. We've got to teach you the number line. Now, when comparing and ordering integers, here are some things to remember. Number 1. Boing. As you move to the right on the number line, the numbers increase in value. That's why we have the symbol greater than as it points to the left. The number line has the greater than symbol at the end of it pointing to the right. I'm sorry. Number 2, as you move to the left, it decreases in value. That's an important thing to remember. You know this already, but again, sometimes when we're working with negative numbers, and we go in one direction or the other direction in the negatives, we sometimes forget that going left decreases in value, and so when we see something like negative 9 compared to negative 2, we'd say, oh, we don't think that's the lower number, but it is. Okay? So, next thing, watch for signs and absolute values. Again, that is important because if you see something like this, 10 compared to the absolute value of negative 42. Okay. Now, when you see negative 42, you think to yourself, wow, that's really in the negative. That's a really low number. Okay? But sometimes we forget that this actually equals positive 42, doesn't it? So in this case, this positive 10 is less than the absolute value of negative 42. Okay? So watch your symbols. Okay, let's compare them. Everybody get your knuckle ready. Because I'm going to call on Sydney. Sydney, would you go up there and write the correct, you don't need to use your knuckle for this. Sydney, would you go write the correct symbol in our first example problem? Thank you very much. Ish. 11 is greater than negative 1. Very good. Jared, don't be shy. Let's ask Cameron to go up. Cameron, negative 9 compared to negative 7. Negative 9 is what?
Which is greater?
Oh, what symbol goes in there? What symbol goes in the box?
I can't that.
Okay, goes. Ooh, negative 9 is less than negative 7. How many people
It's
agree?
like a macaroni.
Yes,
It's a
correct.
C.
Okay.
It's a parenthesis. Cameron, what did it do? Click it twice. Yeah, it's funny. Click it twice. Yeah, click it. Made a macaroni.
Negatives. Okay, the absolute value one. It is now your turn. Ryan, you're next, Paul. Yep. Go ahead, Ryan. Go put the symbol in. 3 compared to the absolute value of negative 3. What symbol goes in there? Equal sign. Very good. Alright, so, it's not that difficult, right? It's just not that difficult. So, let's take a look at this then. Find the following points on the number line. Paula, come on up. This time you're going to need a knuckle. So just kind of like tap it with your knuckle. Yep, the square under A. Okay, good. Now, take the red dot and put it on the number line where a positive 10 is. Put it right on the line there, kiddo. Right, yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, Paul, hit the next. No. Uncover B. Very good. Mr. Jordan Cannon. Drag the little green dot up where it goes. Negative 10. That's where that is on the number line. That's where that value is on the number line. Okay, you're up. Emma. Jordan, you didn't uncover the next one. No. Emma, go sit down, Jordan. Go back up and uncover the first one. Emma, go back up now. Wait, you didn't sit down, Emma. Go sit down. Never mind, it's fine. Go back up. Sure you know. The opposite of negative 5. The opposite of negative 5. Yep, you got your knuckle. There you go. Take it. You gotta use your knuckle. The opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. Okay, no, Emma. Please uncover D. Ah, there it is. D for Dory. The opposite of positive 7. Again, it's that time of year. You know, you throw your winter coat. Okay, the opposite of positive 7 is negative 7. Dory. Okay, ooh, the absolute value of negative 4. Ben, the absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4. Good. Ooh, nicely done. There we go. Ella. absolute value of 4. What is she doing?
You have to like press it down.
Okay, now wait a minute. Absolute values are always positive. There you go. Absolute values are always positive. Good.
Alright, you can do it.
Alright. There we go. So, now, order the points from least to greatest. So in other words, now we want to order these values from least to greatest. What is the lowest value we have out of this series of numbers? Tasha?
-10.
-10. This -10 is clearly furthest to the left, isn't it? So -10 is our lowest value. What's next? Brady, or Aiden.
-7.
-7, but it's actually the opposite of +7. This comes next in order. The opposite of +7 is the next lowest value in this string of letters. And the reason it's the next lowest value, even though it's a positive number, we're working with its opposite, which is -7. Okay? So now, which of these would come next? And read it correctly.
Absolute value of
Okay, the absolute value of -4. So we have that absolute value -4, and then what happens? Micah?
The absolute value of +4.
Yeah, absolute value of +4. They share the same location and have the same value. So now we finish up, Jake Locke.
The opposite of -5.
The opposite of -5. Oh. And then, of course, +10. Oh. Isn't that exciting and fascinating?
Yeah.
Yes, I told you it would be very rewarding.
No.
Now, comparing and ordering integers. How can you compare and order integers? Well, you get a smart board, you set it up in your room, and that's what you do. Or,
How much are
they're relatively cheap these days. Now, the table shows low temperatures during a cold winter. Now, again, Riley, I told you guys yesterday, every time they give you a word problem almost when it comes to integers and comparing them, they're going to pick the thermometer. Or money and debt. Money, you owe money. What's the negative? What's the positive? Okay, so anyways, they say, okay, find which day has the lowest temperature, then order the temperatures from least to greatest. You can use the number line. So, this is not an extremely difficult problem. Most of us can say, -6, that's cold, right? So, when we look at this, okay, we pretty much know that Tuesday's the coldest day. But we want to solidify that knowledge in your little noodle. So, if we put on a number line, okay, we know that -6 degrees Celsius will be the farthest left. We then look and we have -5. We know that that will be slightly further to the right, not as far left. Okay? Then we skip over into the positive amounts to +1 or 1 degree Celsius, 3 degrees Celsius, and 5 degrees Celsius. Okay? And so that's how they would look on a number line. And then we can say, okay, which one is farthest left? That's -6. -6 was associated with Tuesday, so therefore the temperature farthest to the left is -6. Tuesday is the coldest day. And again, they emphasize moving left to right, you can write the temperatures from least to greatest. See? Judging by the look on your faces, you guys have thoroughly enjoyed much of this lesson, which leads me to conclude that a recap of what we've learned over the past 2 days is in order. Oh, guess what? Here we go. You're all like, it's not that exciting. I'd rather be doing something else. Integers are positive or negative numbers, aren't they? Yeah. Okay. Number 2, 0 is neither positive nor negative. Number 3, the absolute value of any number is a counting number. The absolute value of any number is always a positive also. And you know it because it uses those 2 little bars. Okay? And we're not talking these little bars. It's a little bar. That's a little bar. But we're talking about little bars.
You mean a bear?
You mean a bear? Yeah, bar. Alright, now, integers have opposites, and it means 2 numbers share the same distance from 0 on the number line. That means they have the same absolute value, and so they're opposites because they have different symbols. Opposite integers are identified by parentheses, and integers increase in value as they go right on the number line and decrease in value as they go left. Now, if you did not capture all of this, it will be posted online for you to review. Alright? You may take a quick restroom break.
Oh,
I can leave it up.